we doing, America? Episode 26, Contra-Dictions, coming to you live and direct. We got a good episode for you tonight. We're going to talk some Biden, all things Biden, what he thinks about everything. We're going to do foreign policy. We're going to do all things Biden. I even sound like him right now, so I'm all into it right now. All right, so we got a guest coming from us from Political Soul Food, Kassan. He's going to be joining us tonight. My boys Kenny and Glenn are always with us tonight. And I want to give a shout out to my Looney Bin State Farm family, USSSA-D state champions tonight. Yes, sir. All right, here we go. Kenny, how we feeling?
What's up, man? Feeling good. Looking forward to having this conversation. Me and Kassan have been talking about this for a little while now, and he allowed me to be on his show for a short, brief period of time and didn't have the best signal, but was able to have a little discussion there. So I'm looking forward to following it up tonight.
Let's bring him in real quick. I should have brought him in first. Kassan, welcome to the stream, baby. How you feeling?
I'm chilling, bro. Thanks, Freddie. Thanks for inviting me here. It's always good to chop it up, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And as Kenny said, you know, we had a little feast, you know what I'm saying? So it's time to dine again.
That's what's up, man. It's all fun, man. It's all fun. How you feeling, Glenn?
What's up, gentlemen? What's going on, everybody out there? Cyber world, welcome back to another edition. Contra-Dictions, the other side. We got a special guest in the building. We got my man Kassan from Political Soul Food. Also, I guess a coordinator or contributor for ventilators as well.
I'm a member of the ventilators crew.
Okay.
Yeah. Representing King Brad.
Yep. Yes, we had King Brad on here last Friday. Not last Friday, but the Friday before that.
I'm sure he's tuned in. I'm sure he's tuned in somewhere.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be surprised if he wanted to pop in a little later on.
So Let's get this thing started, man. All things Biden, right? We're going to talk a little bit about Biden. So who wants to start us off? Kenny, why don't you go first, brother?
All right. Well, on the show, basically one of the things that I brought up is that I brought up the fact that Trump had a good economy pre-COVID. And the argument was that that he was given this great economy by Obama. And as you look at it, there was some increases, but it was a relatively slow recovery. And Trump did all the things, not just what he said, but he did better than what people said that he would do. And so when somebody does better than they say they're going to do things, and then they do those things, and they even overachieve, that is something that should be getting credit. He inherited a great economy. That's not true. Now, I have plenty of evidence to back that, but we'll go ahead and let him have that discussion. So where do we want to go first?
Hey, Glenn, hey, let's just start with the introductions real quick. So, Kenny gave his little 5-cent introduction. Hey, why don't you give yours, Glenn?
Yeah, so I don't really agree with too much of what Kenny said. Surprise. But I do believe that Trump did inherit a much better economy than the economy that Obama inherited from Bush. So with that being said, the economy was on the upward trend, and I've got plenty of evidence to show that as well too. I know Kenny said, he probably wanted to get into the discussion, but we're going to talk about a few things here. We're going to talk about some foreign policy. We're going to talk about the economy, and what Biden's stance on the economy is, or what some of his economic policies are. And we're going to get into a slew of other things as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Hey, Kassan, you want to give anything before we get started?
Yeah. So, I definitely got to echo the notion that Trump inherited an economy that was better than what Obama inherited. And if we're going to take Trump at his word, then we got to take Trump at his word when he said in his own book, Think Like a Champion, that Obama inherited a mess. So, we got to take it from there later,
Roger that. So let's get started on the economy, since that's the main topic. We started with our introductions, right?
Well, hold on. And let me just say, by no stretch did I ever say he didn't inherit a better. Every president except maybe one inherited a better situation than Obama did. So Obama did not inherit a good situation at all.
But
so
that's a reflection.
I'm glad we agree there. I'm glad we agree with that.
Right.
I mean, I don't even think that's objectively can be debated. It was not good, and I was not a Bush supporter. Never had.
Contrary to popular belief, that was not Trump's fault.
Right.
Right. Well. Since we're on that note, though, well, maybe I'll wait. Let's go with the flow.
All right, so
I'm
let's
ready.
start
I'm
off with
No,
charged.
you can chime in ever. I mean, I would go GDP first. You know, when
There we
Obama left office, it was 1.57. That was the GDP. Before his second year, he got it up to 3.18. He said he was going to go over 3% GDP. And Obama literally did a campaign speech for Hillary and said, how's he going to do this? I mean, he says he's going to do it. He doesn't explain how he's going to do it. But then Trump did do it. Right?
You want to respond to that, or you want me to?
Oh, I could jump in. Well, first things first. Trump didn't do much. So let's think about this. If we all agree that Obama inherited a bad economy, that means we can look at Obama's first year and see the jobs that were sinking. The unemployment was ballooning. We all agreed already that trend that Obama got in that first to maybe first 2 years, in fact, was not Obama's fault. And I think everybody said here, that's not the question.
No,
right?
I wouldn't give him a 2-year buffer there.
Okay.
There's a lot that can be done in 2 years.
Okay. Let's not give him a 2-year buffer, but will we agree that in that first year, those sinking jobs reflect what Obama received?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Okay. Yep. Likewise, the amount of jobs that were pouring into the economy in Trump's first year, before he passed his 2017 tax cut, we can say that's a sign of Obama. So when we stop at Obama's last year, his economy in 2016, it's unfair because we need to do the same. We need to have the same treatment that we're going to treat Obama with and say, okay, let's look at Trump's first year as a sign and reflection of what he walked into.
Very fair.
We have to look at those numbers. I'm just trying to be fair across the board.
Sure, but if you look at the job growth numbers, although they were growing very slowly, which is why Trump averages far more jobs per month. Now, again, he's only had a 2-year period, and yes, he came into a better situation. But after, I took the first year away from holding Obama responsible for that. But I think we can't ignore the fact that when you have a drop, and you can go back, there was 5 different deep set regressions since I think 1920. And in each one, they had a very quick recovery, except for one. And so when you look at them, the amount of duration of time as something's coming up after it just dropped, of course, your first couple years are going to be good. I mean, since we're not counting the fact that it dropped in his first year, once it hits that bottom and starts coming up, you don't have to give. It's just like, I mean, all things are going to bounce back some. It's not going to drop forever. These things are very cyclical. So although I would give him some credit there in terms of the rates, it was a long period and it was going okay, but there was areas of his jobs that he was basically paying for jobs. They weren't private sector jobs and they weren't manufacturing jobs. They were overwhelmingly government jobs that was from the inflated budgets that he increased. So these jobs are not the same jobs. Oh, for instance, in the first 2 years, Trump increased 467,000 jobs. In the last 2 years for Obama, he had 73,000 manufacturing jobs. And that's 8 years after or 6 years after a recession. So he definitely juiced up the economy, and you can say that that was because of him. That is a huge difference. Almost 500,000 jobs in 2 years compared to 70,000.
I mean, can I ask you a question? What did Trump do in his first year?
Oh my gosh, he did so much. So
that impacts the manufacturing jobs because we can I just throw this out there. It's clear that Obama invested. Okay, go ahead.
He was renegotiating the TPP at the time.
That didn't do anything.
Oh, absolutely it did. Because what it did was the steel prices were way overinflated and we couldn't compete because we were trying to just take away tariffs. And you can't take away tariffs because our money was devalued at that point. And so we were in a terrible situation with China and we could not get our steel prices down enough for us to manufacture them. Once we ended up tariffing China, then we ended up getting the steel jobs back. And so that directly affected manufacturing. And then it did it again with the NAFTA reassignment. When we redid NAFTA, that did it as well because that boosted into the auto industry.
So as much as I want to keep going down this Obama love train, I want to get back on Biden. All right.
But no, but this,
But
what
I
we
would
have
say
is-
I agree. It directly affects what we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
I agree.
and we also have to hold what Kenny is saying accountable, because if you look at if you analyze the amount of time it takes for a policy to take effect, it usually takes at least, I would say, the quickest you can ever see, maybe like 9 months.
false, completely false.
Maybe a year.
You just pick that out of
In
nowhere.
terms of,
If
well,
you act-
because honestly, I'm trying to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. Honestly, it takes about a year
no, it
to
doesn't.
see the change.
It's
Every
so much
policy
money
has to
comes in.
overturn. It takes about a year.
No, it
In
doesn't.
fact,
And I'm gonna tell you
we
why.
can see. Well, I would
can
say
explain
this.
why. Clearly,
Well-
it's because speculation pushes investment, and then investment pushes stock prices, and then stock prices push
Yeah,
investment.
but we're talking about jobs. We're not talking about
Correct.
stock. The stock is
Yes,
way more
but-
volatile than jobs.
Yes, that's correct. But
To rebuild a manufacturing industry
when they
takes hardcore money, the kind of money that Obama put in when he reinvested in American companies. That money took
didn't.
time to drip through. Obama
he
did.
didn't. He
Actually did.
put into China.
No, Obama
Hold on, did
poured
Obama- let
money
me
through
ask you this.
the ARRA.
Because I have the stats that Fred can pull up. Did Obama in 2009, did he say he was going to renegotiate NAFTA? The answer to that is yes, he did.
I don't
And
remember, so maybe he did.
Okay, he did.
I was
And guess
going to
what?
say, yeah, he did.
Yeah, he didn't. No, he didn't do it. Did he say he was going to get rid of TPP?
He was for TPP.
No, he said he was
You
going to get
talking
rid
about
of
Obama or
it.
Trump? You talking about Trump or Obama?
Obama. You can look back 2009 in his debate with Senator McCain. He literally said he wanted to abolish TPP.
Are you talking about the Southeastern, the South Asian?
TPP agreement between China and us.
Yeah. No, but Obama ended up being for that.
After he couldn't get rid of it because he couldn't beat China in the negotiation.
Obama realized that the market in the Middle East was failing, and that the rising markets were now going to be in Asia and also in Africa. That's what he saw in the trends. And he made that decision based on the marketplace in the world after the collapse of the economy.
Only hurt Americans.
Right.
And we see that it is true for Africa and it's true for Asia. And Asia is the one that's expanding probably faster than America.
Yes, it was good for them. It was not good for America.
It never happened for America. It never happened for America. America was Obama was trying to be first the same way China was trying to be first in Africa.
So Obama did that knowing that it was going to help other countries and not us? Why would he do
it was
that?
for us. The criticism, the main criticism against Obama on that was that he was actually favoring American economies at the expense of third world countries and other markets.
He didn't.
Because we didn't get in it.
No, it didn't happen. We were in it.
No, it didn't happen.
He didn't renegotiate it. What do you mean it didn't happen? We were in the TPP. We just got out.
It didn't happen.
What didn't happen?
Are we talking about the same thing? It never passed.
Yes. What are you talking about? We just got out of it. We've been in it for 15 years.
Are we talking about the same thing?
I'm talking about the TPP, the trans. What was that thing called? It's called.
Hang on, I'm pulling it up.
Trans-Pacific
right
Partnership.
Yeah, Trans-Pacific Partnership. We're absolutely in it, and now we're not because Trump ended it.
He ended negotiations. We never got into it, but he did. And it was the Paris Agreement.
No, we were in it. And what happened?
We were negotiating it.
No, we've been in it.
Hold on here, fellas. Here we go. Let me bring it up real quick. All right. Here. Bam. Let's share it real quick. Right here. We got right here. Introduction. Here we go. Introduction. The Trans-Pacific Partnership was the centerpiece of President Barack Obama's strategic pivot to Asia before Trump withdrew the United States in 2017. TPP was set to become the world's largest free trade deal covering 40% of the globe.
But and those
it was drafted in 2015.
Then that was a read.
It signed 2000
back in 2000 because there was one before that.
Well, then I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the one.
Kenny, you're talking about the one from 2012, Kenny.
Yeah.
The one that they had
2011,
before,
20,
and then he was
2012.
trying to change it because it was not working because of the devalued currencies. So what I'm saying is he was trying to get us out of, I guess there was the old one. I thought it was the same. I don't know if it's got a different name or what, but it was also the TPP back then. But it was not good for us, and it wasn't.
So you cannot say it wasn't good for us when it didn't take do anything. It didn't take place.
What they were doing to trade when they were allowing the steel, they were holding the steel basically, and we couldn't even get any. And then you look at the way that they had it. They had basically they were just devaluing our currency, so we couldn't get any trade in there. Only China could do it under. And I guess I got to figure out whatever. I'll relook it up and follow up. But there was the agreement that was in place, and I guess they were trying to redo it. But that was the big problem that America was having with it. That's why Trump got away from it, was because we couldn't get any deals done through that same group. So I don't know if the group together was calling it something else. But Trump, in Obama's 2009 speech, he spoke about it. So I don't know how it was started.
Yeah, but it's also important to note that everything that Trump has been doing with China has increased our trade deficit. So his response to that failed. His response to America's opportunity to expand in Asia failed. And American farmers are seeing that, and our manufacturers are going to begin to see that if it continues.
No, our farmers have not seen that. The farmers have seen growth.
There was a 20% increase in bankruptcies among American farmers, and the evidence is
farmers haven't been seeing growth
at all. They lost growth.
Yeah, Trump, they lost, and not only that, but the cattle industry has taken a severe hit. Our meat right now, Trump actually wants us to be importing our meat from China. Do you know how bad that would be for not only for our economy, but for the quality of our meat? I don't know if people realize America actually has pretty good meat. And our grading system, our USDA system, believe it or not, is one of the best in the world when it comes to grading and ranking meat and the quality of it. So if you actually talk to the average, and it depends because there's different industries within farming, but if you actually talk to the average cattle herder, like they're hurting right now. They're actually having to kill off cattle.
Just real quick, before the TPP, this is my apologies. It was the TPSEP.
SCP, yeah, okay.
So I stand.
And that happened in what, 2012, right?
No, that was 2002. That was the one that was going on during the time where they were trying to renegotiate it at that point, and that was with New Zealand, Chile, Singapore, and then China got into it. Here you go, China and Malaysia, and that began in 2008. So Japan, China, Canada, Mexico, Peru all got involved with it, and it went from the TPP to the TPP. TPP was an expansion of the TPSEP. It began in 2005. So it was the TPP in 2005, but then they're like adding things to it. So I can understand how there was some.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, but the important thing about that is that it was Obama's, I think, acute understanding of where the new markets are emerging. One of the things about the United States is being able to know where we're going in markets. And the last thing I thought,
is Biden gonna continue these policies when he gets in office, or what is his policy? All I've heard is Obama, 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 Trump, Trump, Trump.
Well, I think.
Let me hear some Biden. Let me hear some Biden.
Well, here's the first thing. I think that Biden is under Obama's legacy.
I agree.
And so I think it's important to challenge. I mean, Kenny raised some very important things that needs to be assessed objectively. Because if Trump is good in a way or better than Obama, then it will logically conclude that we probably wouldn't want Biden unless he can offer something different. Where I stand is that Trump doesn't really have much to tout. His overarching contribution to the American economy, the GDP, everything altogether, economists across the board has amounted that to about 0.3%.
Okay, where did you just pull that from? Because the GDP was 3.18. Obama never hit 3. Never. He never hit 3. I'm talking about growth. Yes. Trump probably in a quarter. In a quarter or so. I'm talking
I'm talking about yearly total growth.
Yeah,
yearly
you're talking about growth.
Yearly growth, Trump never outpaced Obama. Trump
because he was
never.
already, like I said before, and this is important for people to watch. This is kind of a trick because when you go from it is when you lose, if you gain a whole bunch of weight, it's always easy to lose the first weight first. So giving yourself a pat on the back for growing quickly after it hit the bottom is and we didn't even give it the fact that it hit the bottom throughout his whole first year. We gave that to him. So by the time he gets back to square one, most economists believe it was one of the slowest recoveries. And actually, I have plenty of, we can go ahead and pull up in trading economics, Fred, if you want to put this chart on the board, we can look at how slow this is.
Let's see how slow.
Okay. Kenny, which one you want?
We can go ahead and go to macrotrends.net.
Okay, one sec. I have, I got you. Right here, I got you. Yep.
Okay, macrotrends.net. Go down, you should see the chart there. Okay, and then in the top, you can go ahead and put 2008 to 2021, or you can put 2020 or 2019 if you want. However, 2019 is the last year that it calculates. Okay. So as you can see, yes, he boomed it after it went to the ground. So it went from negative 0.14, dropped all the way down, okay, and then bounced up. Again, that's very standard dropping and raising after post-recession. It happens every time. So then you go, well, what did he do since then? Okay, it was at 2.56, okay, and the highest he ever got after that was 2.88. He never got it to 3. And when he got it to 2.88 if you want to round up 2.9, okay? And then when he left office, his last year was 1.57. So in 2 years, Trump took it from 1.57 to 3.18. So where did he get this? Where did this massive boost come from? Because last I checked, if you look from 2005 to 2016, that is a drop. So it wasn't like Trump came in and took this great economy. That big 1.57 GDP, he was crushing it.
So here's the problem with that chart. Okay, so what we need to do is that right. No, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. Here's the problem for your analysis of the chart.
Okay.
When we look at the economic growth, if you pinpoint quarters or fluctuations, you can always highlight a good or bad. But if you look at the average growth over a year, because that is what matters. If we have a great surge in jobs at the beginning of a year and then a crash of jobs at the end of the year, that speaks to, I would say, the overall health of the economy. Now, if we're talking about Obama's slow growth, I would prefer slow growth than a volatile economy that Trump
It's not slow growth. 1.57 was almost as low as it was in 2011. So you went from 2011 to 2016, and you're still doing the same thing.
No, if you're talking about the growth of the GDP and the entire economy, we can see almost on all measures, there's been an increase in unemployment. In other words, a decrease in unemployment. There's been an increase in the stock market. The same kind of accolades Trump is getting.
They're not.
Let me finish. Just the same kind of accolades Trump gets for having the best stock market ever or whatever. Obama was getting that on his outside too. It's all indicative of a trend. But my point is this: if you measure Trump's performance according to the year, he never performed better than Obama.
False. He performed better his first year. His first year was 2015 to 2016. Obama went from 2.88 to 1.57. That's a loss of 1.3.
And then at
Trump's first year, he grew from 1.57 to 2.22. Like, that's a fact. And then grew again to 3.18.
Yes, but the economy itself didn't grow. Overall,
what are you talking about? Yes, it did. Manufacturing jobs, I've already given that proof. The GDP, I didn't handpick these years. This is it.
All right.
I didn't even go into quarterly. I didn't try to
here's what we got to do. Here's what we got to do. So what we should do is go to the CBO and look at the economic growth. When you pinpoint a year, A year could look great,
I'm not
but there are
pinpointing
many.
any year.
You just pinpoint years. You're comparing.
I'm pinpointing every single year except for the first two.
But I'm talking about all of that growth amount to nothing more than 0.03. And it's stalling after.
From? No,
check the CBO, check the Bureau of Labor Statistics. These are the same things that Trump is using.
No,
but the narrative is very different.
There is no narrative. I pulled this out. I just put in GDP. I ask anybody out there, don't research this person's thing, this person's thing.
I say the same thing. Google
the GDP, look at it yourself, and you'll see the growth after Obama's was falling apart. And then Obama did this on his way out the door. I encourage people to look at this. He went and put a whole bunch of regulations in that he knew would hurt business on his way out the door. Go look it up, and it's in.
Businesses have improved under Obama.
Hey,
that's a fact.
If you're comparing everything to 2009,
just being an average Joe, I just did what you guys told our audience to do. Mm-hmm. I said, Google, here I come, Obama GDP growth. That's what I did. So let's see what it is. Let's see what it says. This is not Fred
and compare it to Trump's.
Okay. Of course. So let's just see what it says. Boom. Okay, and I'll read it all for you guys. Mm-hmm. Overall, economic growth measured as change in
isn't it pretty? Isn't it pretty ironic, really quick, that Biden's show is being trumped?
I know.
By Obama and Trump
policies. But let's
we'll get back to that right
now.
No,
it's good. It's good. It's good because I think I know where Kenny was going. I'm not sure, but I think K-Sound's rebuttals have been pretty solid, so I kind of been
measured as the change in real GDP averaged 2% from quarter 2, 2009 to quarter 4, 2016. This was slower than 2.6 average from quarter 1, 1989 to quarter 4, 2008. Measured as percentage of GDP, it rose from 52.3% in 2009 to 76% by 2016. Now, I can Google the same thing for Trump and see if the numbers change. And we can still keep going if that's what we want to do.
We can.
We can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yes. I would like, but most importantly,
you guys talk why go and do the research.
And while you do that, it's very important just to put a side by side to see what that means, because there are factors. What I'm saying is that if you want to pull out a stellar year or a low year for somebody at a particular point of the game,
well, no one was doing that.
You can wrap a narrative around. What I'm speaking about is very simply that
but nobody was doing that. We've all already forgiven 2009 I want to submit Obama. Just go ahead.
Right. So I want to submit Trump's economic report for the president. His own report, economic report of the president.
Which one?
Issued by the Council of Economic Advisors.
From when?
The most recent one. Let's see here. 2020, February 21st, 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah. And here, something that we won't hear Trump say. Here we see.
I thought you just said it was in his report.
Right. Yeah, but he won't say it to us. He's going to say, I got the greatest economy ever. I did much better than Obama. But he won't tell us what his own report is saying, that the recovery from the Great Recession is only about 0.3% higher than when Obama was in office. This is Trump's own report that he doesn't tell us.
What was?
His economic growth. We're talking about the health of the economy.
Which part of the economy? Economic growth from what? Because
of the GDP, we're talking about the overarching
but the GDP
health
didn't
of
go up that, so I don't know where they're getting that from. I'd have to look at
this
that.
This is Trump. Look at Trump.
You can pull the thing up. Fred, did you find it yet?
Yes, sir. I got it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
And I wonder if they're going to include 2020, which was about as much Trump's fault as 2009 was.
So you're not going to get 20. You're not going to get 2020.
2020 is going to be horrible for Trump.
All right, so here we go.
It's not Trump's fault, so.
Here we go.
Yeah, but he mismanaged
No, he didn't.
All right, guys.
You can have that talk.
All right, the economy is growing about the same pace as it did under Obama in his last year. And unemployment, while lower under Trump, has continued a trend that began in 2011. For example, Trump promised real GDP growth of 4 to 6% per year, but achieved only 2.9 growth in 2018. This is the same rate as Obama in 2015.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. So
That's it.
So there it is. Well, I mean that's just one aspect. That's one aspect of the
right.
argument.
So the idea that go ahead.
Well, we kind of went off on a tangent here, you know, in terms of Trump and his economic policy. Not even really his policy, just really what he's done, whether he did what he said he was going to do or not. I kind of wanted to just figure out where you were ultimately going with that, Kenny. But really quick, in terms of Biden's economic policy, I know that he's really trying to use the federal government and his power, if he were to be elected president, to stimulate the social justice economy, and using government funding for small businesses, things of that nature. So that was just on a side note.
I think we beat the economy to a pulp. All right, let's change topics here. Let's switch gears. All right, let's go to health.
Do we even know what Biden on his own has? I haven't heard a single proposal from Biden. I'm sorry, from Biden. Do you know any?
I do not, because he's not been on the airwaves for like 3 months.
He came out about 6 days ago. Biden, and he released he did give four what he's calling pillars. They're really just proposals. It was like 4 different proposals within his economic policy. Go ahead, Kason.
You already beat me to it. So Biden is basically saying that he's going to be diametrically opposed to what Trump is doing in most cases. What he did offer is that he's going to focus on the
but that's not
disparity.
Really a policy, though.
That's not a policy.
It is. That's true. That's true.
It's definitely not a policy.
Well, he has.
I'm just against Trump. Whatever Trump says. You guys don't like Trump. I'm going against Trump.
If Trump did it, I'm doing the opposite thing. Right?
Right.
You know what? It's actually good enough for me at this point. So because Trump is very harmful.
I thought hold on. We just spent this whole 32 minutes discussing.
And you're only going to
he's just barely. I'm not going to give you any more on that. But we just found out that it hasn't gotten any worse. So I'm not sure why.
Right. It hasn't. So Trump hasn't done anything. And the argument is that, in fact.
So hold on. It's gotten better. You said 0.3, but let's just say it's just slightly better.
Well, here's the problem.
Better is better.
Here's the problem. Here's what I mean by that. And I don't want to fall into Trump's hyperbole. Trump is riding a trend. What we do see as being unique to Trump's trend is a widening gap of the success of the stock market and the everyday people. It's a widening gap.
It is
still kind of moving. So, in other words, how can we put it like this? When Trump dismantles healthcare, that is destroying people's economic.
He didn't. Definitely didn't. He didn't.
He didn't gut.
He took away the. Oh, you talking about
Care Act?
Forcing somebody to have it, so people that didn't want it didn't have it. That one.
The same way we force people to have insurance when they drive a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same one that Obama said was going to cost people $0, and you could keep your own. And he didn't.
Yeah. Okay. That same one. The same one that
one that I had to pay $700 a month for when I lost it, and then had to pay $700 a month and not have it.
And the same one.
It's not a good one.
That improved many people's opportunities to get health care who couldn't afford it.
No, it didn't.
Particularly African Americans. Yes, it did.
No,
I know a lot of people that
we do a fact check. How many people? Can we do a fact check on how many people?
How many people lost their coverage? But a lot of people didn't want that coverage, so it's not lost. People didn't want it.
The coverage increased, in fact, under the Obamacare.
Correct.
Because
they forced you to get it. No kidding. Of course it did.
And then when that increased, it had actually, according to the CBO, the CBO has showed that the increase of healthcare, the cost did go up, but it also improved and opened up jobs. The healthcare market.
I don't give a damn if it opens up jobs in a non-free market.
No, but it's important because
good job. You open up jobs. You force me to pay for something.
Here's the important thing we have to understand. When Obama, during a recession, implemented the healthcare bill and his own stimulus bill in dealing with 2 wars, all of that, he's cutting the deficit by 2/3. Trump comes in, supposedly cuts and guts the healthcare to improve
He didn't
revenue.
cut any gut. All he did was eliminate the mandate. Let's just keep it 100. Let's keep it what it is.
Eliminating the mandate cuts what keeps people
No,
to
it's
it.
what
That means people.
Yes, so people have the
exactly,
freedom to not have it if they didn't want
right,
it. Thank you.
Right.
I got off of
that's
it.
What
Thank you.
So that's what the cut.
My
and so
mom
what
got
that
off
means,
of it. Thank you. My dad got off of it. Thank you.
So what that means is that the government is spending less money on that, right? It's supposed to mean that.
No, that's not what it means.
Well, that's what it means because the government was subsidizing it.
Well, no, the government is still. It just means the mandate's there, which means that that they're not going to force people, so that the government's not going to take in more penalty. They're still paying. Yeah, right. They're still paying the Medicaid cost. I always get Medicaid and Medicare.
Yeah, but
one for the.
Yeah, it works. But Medicaid gives you everything. Medicare is like what you pay into, and then you get it.
No, which one's one of them's for old people, one of them's for
Medicare is for the older.
Old people.
Yeah, Medicare is for
Medicaid. So Medicaid has not been gutted. Medicaid is all still
there.
Nobody
said Medicaid.
I know. I'm saying that.
Oh, okay. All right.
So people that are the poorest are not in danger of losing their health care. The people
people who are working in a job that do not provide the health care. Those are the ones who are not getting. That was the purpose of it. It was a way. It was like a buy-in.
More companies started getting rid of it if they could. My company did.
Of course,
we couldn't afford because you're forcing them to pay a whole bunch of money that they couldn't afford to pay. You're assassinating small businesses.
That's absolutely not true because small businesses were not. Some businesses did get hurt for the increase, but it was a total.
2 federal jobs. It might have been 3 for every.
Can we fact check this? Just fact check.
Yeah, look,
just fact check that. But
okay,
the overarching point I wanted to make. The overarching point I wanted to make is that all of Trump's cuts.
From a personal standpoint, my missus, before we got married, she was on the Obamacare, right? And then when she got on my insurance, she saw a drastic decrease in the cost she was paying. And she was forced to take that doctor. She didn't choose the doctor. She had a doctor prior to that and then lost that when her job decided not to carry insurance because it was costing her small business too much money.
So and that's essentially what happened to a lot of people.
Not saying that happens everywhere.
That's my point. That's my point. And it's about the averages.
Well, just like Kenny said, you got to keep it 100. I'm glad you brought that example up, Freddie, because I know a lot of people that happened to as well too. They're working for a company. The company can't afford to give every single employee insurance under Obamacare. Company says, screw it, we're not doing the insurance thing anymore. Now the employees are forced to get privatized insurance, which is through the roof now because the guy that smokes and smokes, the guy that shoots heroin, we're paying for his shit too, right? So the other spectrum of that is someone like me, right? This is the thing. You got to look at it as a whole because some people
it gave
people coverage.
Not just one or the other.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not. It gave people coverage. You know, we talk about the 20 million that got coverage. It took some people that had coverage that they liked and forced them to get coverage that they didn't like and pay more. And it took some people that didn't even that weren't working, that couldn't afford healthcare at all. And some people really were able to get healthcare for $0. Well,
let me put one more part in that got missed because as an insurance guy, I saw this firsthand. Is that they also, when they were judging people on insurance, they were taking people that had initially paid it. And what happened is let's say that you paid it, and this actually happened to me. So I'll use myself as an example. I was paying $680 a month or $580 a month because it was cheaper than the $700 a month penalty. So I paid it till March. And March, man, times were super tough, and I couldn't afford it. So I ended up losing it. By June, okay, I was like, man, I need coverage. They were like, oh, well, even if you got coverage, you still had to pay the $700 a month penalty all the way back to the beginning of the year. So if you paid it for 5 months and you lost it, you got to pay back to January and you have to go back until the month that you could. So let's say you stop it in March, which is what I did. I paid January, February, March. And then you still have to pay March forward, even if you get new insurance. If you get new insurance, you just got to pay both. Sorry about your luck, Chuck. And so it's fine if that's the philosophy that you want to have. If people want to have a socialized system of healthcare to that level, then hey, they can. If that's what Biden says he's going to do, well, that's important to hear because I think I think that's going to be a loser. And people will always try to tout how many people didn't have it because they weren't forced to. But a lot of people do it like I used to do, which is supplement it with a supplemental like an Aflac and then just save my money because I barely ever go to the hospital. And if I do, I get money back from them and I have a stockpile of money to be able to use. So
we got to keep in mind, too, though, with this is that, yes, there were businesses that took a toll. But when we look at the larger pie of the American people who were without health care, when the Obamacare came, it increased that. And so obviously,
but not everybody wants.
Not everybody
to get
wants anything
to get health care.
Do.
No, I'm not saying not everybody. It was not. I mean, again, we would have to pull a stat up.
But let me finish this point, though. The point is that the burden of the cost to live in our country from the passing of the Obamacare was put on more people. Now, some people might say that's not fair. That's an infringement of sort of my freedom. But honestly, I see it no different from when a major company has a ship that gets hijacked, calls for the services of the United States to come retrieve something that is labeled American interest. And then you have soldiers who, no fault of their own, have to go risk their lives to protect American interests abroad. I think that the analogy I'm saying
is talking about the one that people sign up for?
I'm talking about
in the military.
Well, I'm talking about when you're an American citizen and when you actually agree to, the general welfare of the people, and you take advantage of the fact that people are signing up to defend this country, and people are paying taxes to help defend the country and protect your interests. That burden should go. That burden should be spread fairly in other areas of our country. Healthcare is one of those areas, and it's tricky to put in place, but it's something that needs to be addressed because many, many more Americans are suffering at the expense of insurance companies not even want to see people because they have pre-existing conditions.
Well, first of all, pre-existing conditions, everybody's in favor of covering them. So that's a punchline from the left that they like. But the truth is the president right now, Trump, has been 100% always behind covering pre-existing conditions. We've got to cover pre-existing conditions. He's got it in every one of his. So that part's going to stay. Well, I agree with you. Hold on one second. I want to agree with you on something because we definitely have a healthcare issue in this country. And going back to what Glenn said, I'm just not okay paying for a guy that's smoking a pack of cigarettes a day and drinking 2 coffees every 4 hours. I'm watching him buy his stuff, and me being a libertarian, like I should not even be. I don't care what he does as long as I'm not paying for it. And the truth is that people think these universal healthcare things are going to be great. Your son has a heart condition, and people like to bring those stories up. That person, he's not going to get a heart. They're not going to just
we know that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about preventative care and the baseline.
I believe you know that because you're an educated man. But
we're not talking about that.
I am talking about that.
I'm glad that you brought that up too, Kenny. I did want to bring that up because, on the surface, socialized healthcare does sound good. Free healthcare for all sounds excellent, right? But what you don't realize is in a capitalist society, you have an opportunity to do better. Like you have an opportunity to live healthier. You have an opportunity to make more money, to decrease stress, all these things that are gonna add value to your health, right? So what people don't realize is when they talk about these countries, when they talk about Canada, when they talk about some of these other socialist societies that have free healthcare for all, they're not telling you the 4, 5, 7 hour lines they have to wait in to get seen. They're not telling you, if you have something major, you're still gonna have to pay. You're not like I mean that's kind of extreme. You brought up the heart example, but if you need a heart transplant, do you think in a free healthcare society you're gonna get a heart? You're not getting it. So if you don't have either, and what a lot of people do, they still have privatized health insurance in those other countries. They have some sort of supplemental health insurance in those countries, even though it's technically free healthcare for all. So, there's you got to be able to say, okay, when it comes to healthcare, all right, I'm going to take the daddy approach and I'm going to take some accountability. Right. Then you got to say, OK, also, I'm going to take the mommy approach and say, this person or this sibling may be a little weaker. So even though the stronger sibling is being held accountable, we're going to divvy out a little bit of health care, maybe if it's a broken arm or something like that. But it's like, where's the line drawn? Where do you cut it off? The stuff still costs money. Stents aren't cheap. Cast costs. I mean, everything costs money. So, that's really the question, that where we're at right now is, where are we going to go from here?
But keep in mind, we can't say that Obamacare was
my biggest pet peeve for all y'all to debate after this is being a normal U.S. citizen, right, and paying my taxes. When I go to the damn emergency room or when I go get a doctor, I leave, I pay my thing. Next thing you know, I get bills out the wazoo, man. Like I get.
I do think.
Well, that's another thing Obamacare was addressing.
How is that addressing that?
Well, Obamacare was addressing how hospitals were charging.
Well, they did. They tried to initially, and then a bunch of people got off and wouldn't even take Obamacare. And so
I'm talking about the administration. I'm talking about Obamacare was not just something just to give people health care. It was also an attempt to reform the healthcare industry and holding them more accountable.
It was.
So,
but it did.
It was
I'm not saying it might have tried to do that, but it did not. That did not work.
But that takes time.
I don't think they had enough time to bring back
Obamacare.
Exactly.
Is Biden?
No, because it was never going to have enough time because the costs were going too crazy.
No, that's not true. That's not why. It was concerted.
Well, for some
effort.
people, it was true, and for some people, it was true.
For the average Joe,
but people,
low middle class,
it wasn't that way for most people. No, but it wasn't that way for most people, though. I mean, the people that really hit hard were the people that were like your upper middle class,
lower middle class, lower middle class. Yes. Yes, everyone I know it bothers.
He's saying everyone you know is not everyone you know is not a worthwhile statistic.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
I mean, it's a lot of lower middle class.
I think we should use statistics rather than.
Okay, we can use statistics. Look it up.
I can say everyone I know, and then you can say everyone you know, right? But what the point is that it is true. There is a clear divide between the majority of those who are antagonistic to it. That's, I think, the point that was being made.
There's what?
There's a divide between those who are antagonistic to Obamacare and those who are for it. So mostly those who have
it's just
jobs
funny how you said
comfy.
Some are antagonistic towards it and some are for it. I think some are nonsensical about it and some are rational about it. I guess it depends how you want to
use your words.
your argument.
You can use your words, but I'm saying that on the whole, America on the whole appreciated Obamacare.
I disagree. I mean, we'd have to pull it up.
Oh, there are polls for it. I'm waiting for our officer to pull it up.
I mean, that's
Trump
very
going to lose
subjective.
by 10. I mean,
it's not subjective. There are polls on this.
Yeah.
I mean, look up
polls.
I mean,
buddy.
Like, okay, fine.
So you made the correct. I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen any polls, but maybe they're out there. But I have talked to a lot of people, and it's pretty split. I mean, because if people got the same amount of health care but were paying less, they were happy. If people that didn't have health care at all but now had health care but had to pay, some people were happy that they had health care. Some people were pissed that they were being forced to do something.
Well, here's the thing. Plus, you had the poor people that already had health care. So the poor people in this country have health care. Okay?
Not all of them. Yeah, a lot of poor people.
Are you kidding me?
A lot of them had subsidies already. And a lot of them had Medicaid.
I mean, I'm counting poor as people that are under a certain financial bracket in which they would have qualified. So
the subsidy people. You're talking about subsidy.
Yeah. But we got to be careful though. See, Obamacare was targeting a slice of people who were not eligible for Medicare or Medicaid, but who were also working and didn't have a job.
And this is why that didn't work.
We can't say it didn't work when it was gutted.
I'm gonna tell you, no,
it was working. All statistics show that
I work at an insurance company, and I know it's anecdotal, but my office is in Lanham, Maryland, and we got lots of phone calls. It was the same stuff every time. Poor people that had to get it could not afford it, man. They couldn't get it. They weren't getting it for free.
I'm sure poor people
couldn't get it. So then they crashed it, and then they got hit with a penalty. So
poor people were happy to have the opportunity to pay for something within reach to keep them alive.
False.
This is the thing.
It's sort of true.
This is the hardship of life.
What Kason is talking about, Kason is talking about that demographic that sits where they can't qualify for any sort of subsidy, Yet
That's
at the same
me.
time, they
I'm the only
they
one
still
out
work.
of the 3 or 4 of us that's lit.
Right.
That's my demographic. That
They
was my
still
demographic.
work, but they
Oh,
don't make a
here's
lot
the-
of money, and the company
Yes.
doesn't offer health insurance.
I get you. And what I'm saying is that those people are the ones that I took phone calls from all the time that had to get it, couldn't afford to get they would get, so Obama would subsidize a portion of it, right? And then they would pay it for a couple months, and then they would miss a payment. Are we going to act like lower, just the people just barely hanging on to lower are the ones that are paying all their bills on time? It just doesn't work that way. Statistically speaking, I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying so often I got that phone call.
Right.
I mean, and
well,
it was
that's
always
where everything.
these people. This is not the rich people are not affected by this. Okay, let's just all. If you're wealthy, you probably got your insurance through your work, or you're just going to pay it and go, ain't no big deal. Okay, if you're super poor, it doesn't affect you. You already got coverage still.
Look, we had good coverage. We didn't need, like myself, my family, we didn't need any sort of supplemental coverage. We had, we could go out of network. We didn't have any HMO or PPO or any of that stuff. We had solid coverage, like Plan F, if you will, with the whole shebang. So when Obamacare hit, you're talking about for upper middle class people that were maybe paying, I would say maybe $350 individually. They're paying $550 individually, not family. So and yeah, they're rich, so they can still pay it. But so they're gonna gripe, but doesn't really affect them. No,
I think the main concern that I've heard with Obamacare was that, like companies, small businesses, if you worked employees over 50, you had to provide coverage if said employees worked over a certain amount of hours. So companies were saying, hey, look, I'm not going to give you 35 and a half hours. I'm going to give you 34.5 hours. So I don't have to provide you health care. You know what I mean?
And that person would try to get it. They couldn't afford it. I'm just saying it was hard for me to find the slice that it was helping. Because and I understand it's anecdotal. My situation, I'm sure there's somebody out there. I mean, I would be open to hearing. I just never heard great stories. And I'm around I'm in the melting pot of all melting pots when I was living in Maryland. But I just never heard anybody talking like, hey, this really helped me.
States insurance covered a lot. States insurance covered a lot for people that couldn't get insurance. Like, I remember when I first had my firstborn, we were on states insurance, and that covered a lot of stuff. And I wasn't forced to get states insurance. I went and got it, and they covered a lot. And I didn't pay for anything.
I would. So the
hold on. Look,
there's a Supreme Court case. I just wanted to throw in here. Supreme Court case, Texas versus United States, would challenge the constitutionality of the Obamacare.
And this is the main question when you're done, Kason. Right here. When you're done, go ahead.
Okay. And so there was a study. And this study, it's a 2020 study I can send to you, basically tracked the popularity of Obamacare. It's clear that most Republicans don't like it.
Hold on, you said in 2020?
Yeah, 2020. There's February. It's published February 2020. February 21, 2020. And what we hear here in this report, the Affordable Care Act took center stage in the Nevada Democratic presidential debate with Vice President Biden attacking Mayor Bloomberg's record on the ACA. And there was a poll taken. The latest KFF poll finds a clear majority of the public viewing the law favorably, 55%, while slightly more than 1/3, 37% of the public hold favorable views.
So you don't think anybody looks at Obamacare and goes, if I support Obamacare, then I'm pro-Obama and anti-Trump. And you don't think that's going to affect polling? I'm just asking your opinion.
My opinion on this. Can you restate your question?
Sure. Do you believe that it's so politicized that people that do not like Donald Trump, now that it's been the mandate's been eliminated, will take the stance, oh, well, it is an anti-Trump position to support Obamacare, so I will support it now that it doesn't matter whether it's good for me or not? Do you not think that that's possible?
I think that people have a hierarchy of priorities. I think farmers who like Trump don't care that they've been bankrupt. I think people who feel that Trump supports Christianity in a way that it is part and parcel of the state and not separate from the state are going to support Trump, even though he said, you should grab women by their private parts. Like,
no, he never said that. So just to be clear. That's not what he said. He didn't say you should grab a girl.
Paraphrasing.
He said they will. No, that's a big difference.
He said grab him by the private parts, and he says that he's
that's not what he said.
He said
we can look it up right now.
Put it up
Pull it up
as he put
that's
it.
not what he said.
He said it.
Let me be clear. What he said.
He said I just grabbed him by the.
Thank you.
He said I just walked right up to him, grab him by the.
They let me. You guys are leaving out the they let me. You guys are leaving it out. They let me.
A married man. A married Christian man.
That is a big difference.
So
a Christian man,
a married Christian
who's
man.
buying that Trump is a Christian?
So
I mean,
my point is this. No, I was making a point. So my point is that first of all, Christian.
I want to be clear. He said
hold on. This guy, Kenny, did you just say who's buying that Trump is a Christian?
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I didn't even want to deal with that.
This is good. No, this is good. This is good because I mean, the photo op, the photo op, the Bible, it was all BS.
Right.
It was all BS.
So my point.
It's always BS.
So my point to Kenny, I just wanted to finish my response to Kenny was that about the voting was that there are priorities that voters have. Mm-hmm. And people are going to vote for Trump regardless if he's doing something that may impact them in one way or another.
And it's the same vice versa. It's the same on both sides.
Exactly. So people can care less if their health care is being torn away. If Trump is doing what he needs to do for a white racist society, they're going to vote for him.
Hey,
hold on. Let me say this about Obama. This is important. I want people to hear this about Obama because I actually think that Obama is the first sort of Main Street African American who's actually articulate and bright and clean. Oh, never mind. That wasn't me. That was Biden. That was Biden that said that.
Biden said that.
That's right.
Biden said a lot of stupid racist stuff.
The worst thing we should do is integrate schools.
Biden said.
Hold on. Wait, so hold on. So because I mean, and we didn't really talk, and so I don't really know if Kason is for Biden.
I'm for Biden.
Whatever.
I'm for Biden. So I'm against Trump. And I'm gonna say this: Biden to me is racist, and he's illiterate about racist issues. However, he has throughout the last 8 years stood on the side that I'm on. I see politics as a market of investment. I don't see a political investment in Trump's side. My vision of society doesn't match up with the constituents that put Trump in. I say Trump, but I really mean the millions of people who want to see certain kinds of policies, who want to gut the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, who want to see so many things that I don't want to see. So it's not even about Trump. If Biden is more amenable to the things, he's allowing for himself to be corrected. He's saying that I need to.
He's correcting himself. He's been in 40 years. He's correcting himself, or is he just trying to be on the side? Is he just trying to be?
Listen, that's fine with me right now because that's how bad Trump is. To me,
I mean,
look, a lot of people feel that way. I do.
Yeah,
a lot of people feel that way.
Just so our audience knows, we're going to run a little over tonight because this is a good show here we got going right now, boys. All right. So, boys and girls, keep paying attention.
Yeah. Kenny got a bowl of SpaghettiOs.
Let me tell you this. There's a story about
pasta salad,
and I'm starving too. There's a story. There's a story about I was reporting on by a guy who was a former Confederate soldier. His name is George Washington Cable. He fought for the Confederacy. I mean, the Confederate Constitution was more blatant than the American Constitution about slavery. Like, don't worry, you get with us, Confederate states, we'll protect your slavery. I'm saying this to show how bad this guy's, action were. After the war, he ended up saying, "Listen, I think we got this wrong." And I think that we need.
That felt that way.
Yeah, and his life was threatened in the South, and he had to move. Now, what I'm saying is that as a black man, this is what we have to deal with in many ways. We're playing real politics while white folks can choose to not worry about racism. I see the racism on both sides, but we're looking past that. When we left the South, when the two great migrations from the South happened among black people, we knew that we were walking into another northern racist situation, but we knew there was less lynching going on. We knew that there were fewer people who's going to transgress the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. We understood we had another battle going on. And the same thing here. I would rather fight over the spoils under a Biden presidency than a Trump presidency because of Trump's camp.
So you're kind of just taking the throw.
I would say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, guy.
No, I was going to say you're just kind of taking the throw the baby out with the bathwater approach, which I think a lot of Biden supporters are, or either they're Biden supporters or anti-Trump supporters. So probably more so anti-Trump supporters. But
I just think go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the policies, I just think Biden's thing is going to put y'all back in chains.
Okay, so now we're back on
it's impossible.
Because they're socialist, and socialists don't care about black people.
What is he going to do?
They don't care about any color of people. They just, what do you say?
America was the most you know what's crazy? America was the most socialist country. America was the most socialist country prior to 1965. We had the tax rate was up to for corporations up to 90%.
That was a
Let me tell you this.
Time.
No. From the 30s all the way up to the 70s. The marked difference, what changed this was that when black people were able to participate as full class citizens, suddenly affirmative action became a handout. The largest increase of the white middle class in America happened under the New Deal and the GI Bill. The kinds of government handouts that Obamacare doesn't even come close to. And you call what he's doing socialism? In fact, it's not even a single payer.
Yes.
It's a marketplace. It keeps the businesses.
No, it was never it wouldn't have been a marketplace for long.
Well, you're saying that, well, then you're projecting. What I'm saying
That's true.
The policy he put on the table, and you're calling that socialism.
Very true. Good point. I'll give it to you. That's a good point. That is.
No, I mean, I disagree. I mean, here's the thing: is you can look at. I mean, it depends what you're going to define as socialism. To say it was more socialist back because they had a high tax rate. And back then they had a very limited amount of people making that amount of money, so it was not nearly the same as now. You have more upward, downward mobility now than you do ever. You have so many different situations now that comparing it back then, you want to look at, if we're going to go into culture, and we have a little bit of time, we could do that. Is that you want to look at the 1950s and all the stuff that they did for single moms that looked like. And this is how I've always felt. When you look at something, it can look good. It can pass the initial smell test, and then you got to look deeper. And to me, that was an orchestrated event. Pretty much the same time that they did the welfare program, they gave the moms all the rights in breaking up the family if they chose to. And then it allowed the single motherhood rate to go shoot through the roof. And then in about the 70s and through the 80s, they did where they took dads out of the home, especially black fathers, with the increase in laws that were allowing women to just walk away. The laws about when you're poor in Section 8, you can't have a man in the house. They had the increase, the 3-strike bill that Biden wrote for Clinton. I mean, all those things strategically aimed in, and that all happened right after the civil rights movement. So I don't think that was a coincidence. That's
okay,
to me, that's
right.
a systematic racism.
Exactly, and it stems from the Republican Party and conservatives.
No, that was not from the Republican Party.
So let me explain why. You gave a little something. Mm-hmm. When the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act were passed in 64 and 65, in that order, white voters fled the Democratic Party into the Republican Party. Immediately in Nixon's reign, there was an attack against the Voting Rights Act. In fact, there were fears. Paul Weyrich was saying how we got to watch out for a lot more black people voting. When that happened, there was an attack on the black community, socioeconomic attacks. It wasn't handouts or the prevention of black people being in, or black father being a home for black women that hurted the black family. It was the fact that black communities were divested, that the black schools and urban communities were divested, that manufacturing jobs were being taken away when the majority of black folks were in black jobs under the Reagan administration. You want to talk about neoliberalism? The greatest decimation of manufacturing jobs in America happened under Reagan.
Are you saying that not having the father didn't hamper it at all?
What I'm saying,
you're saying somebody losing a job is
I'm saying, if you want to
worse for their family than
if I'm having a heart attack, the causes for the heart attack are going to be different from a headache. Having a black family member in a house was not the destruction of the black family. The lack of resources for the black community is a destruction of the black family that created, that perpetuated, and exacerbated other issues. Black people are no different from white people on normal circumstances with having decisions about being with a person or not. But when you have fewer economic options, that will exacerbate your issue. So the strawman argument is we're going to point out what the government's doing when you have black people saying, listen, we wanted a job. We want a job. We want our own businesses.
Which is
and you're turning us away. And the Nixon administration admitted, you can ignore them. This is their own words, that their attack on so-called crime was really the decimation of the black community, urban communities at that.
Correct.
Nothing to do with no welfare.
It did. The whole thing worked together.
Very true.
So you can't just say, that had nothing to do with the welfare.
No, because
it did.
Because white people at the same time have issues in their families. But when economics
nobody said that it didn't.
What my point is that your cause and effect relationship. Listen, black people should everybody should be able to make enough money to live on their own or do something reasonably. Okay.
No.
It was the level of poverty among black people, which has always been systematically much higher than that for whites, which means that when poverty hits us, don't blame because I didn't, marry somebody. You blame the fact that you were putting me in a condition that everybody is trying to fight tooth and nail.
Yeah, but
just to make a dollar.
But first of all, that's not true. They're not all doing that, and you're lumping all black people in with poor black people, which is not the same.
I'm talking about the black urban communities that were decimated. I'm never talking about all black people.
Black urban community. Yeah.
Okay. And in the same communities that white people are also poor in, they're still poor. So if you want to create environments where people can like opportunity zones that Trump did.
But that's dishonest what you did, because in the black communities in the 70s, there was white flight from the black communities to suburban areas. Even Trump winked at that recently and said, don't worry. Even Trump winked at that.
Everybody flights that community. Blacks, whites, it doesn't matter. Nobody wants. Yes.
Blacks, we love our urban communities.
Then why did they not reinvest in themselves? Why didn't they?
That's what we were trying to do. Yeah, ask the question because I'm ready for it.
Okay, so why, when they eliminated Jim Crow, did they just not keep that principle of Jim Crow in terms of keeping the money in the community and just say, fuck white people, we'll just go ahead and invest in ourselves? Now, they tried it in Black Wall Street. They tried it in a couple places where, yes, horrific things happened, but that was back then. They could have definitely kept trying to work that way. And I'm not
trying to say we haven't kept work that way?
No.
You saying that we haven't tried to work that way? Well, I think that you really need to research the history of Harlem, the history of Detroit, and the history of Chicago. Because we're talking about centers of black intellect, of black commerce, of black culture, and you got the audacity to say that
you're not there right now. You're not poor right now. You're not poor.
So
how did you make it? How did you make it?
So you're being very dishonest right now.
No, I'm not. Not at all. Glenn made it.
Hold on, slow down. No. We're talking about communities and not an individual. When you shift like that, you're saying you're actually arguing on behalf of a white system.
I'm not. What I'm saying is both things can be true.
The black community. No. If you're trying to get a counterfactual by pinpointing me, you're actually proving an exception, which is I am an exception.
Hold on. Are you? Others. Did you come from that community?
I actually am an exception from this community.
So are you from a single mother?
I was from a single mother. Yes.
Okay. And so you came up and you made it, right?
Yes.
And the things that you saw that it wasn't able to happen because of white people, because of the systems.
When I was younger, I didn't understand. I didn't understand social economics in the way that America knows how to import or shift an economy in a way that it can cause poverty over years. Okay, so if you're playing this game,
I'm not playing any game.
It's a colorblind ignorance that
there's no colorblind. See, when you're actually no, it's not.
Because listen, let me explain the black experience a little bit to you from my perspective, bro.
And then I'll explain the white one to you.
Yes, right, like the great white races.
Right, just like the black racists do.
That ain't on this show, bro.
I hear you, but you honestly, we got to be real because
we do got to be real
because on a historic level, black people have been decimated in this community. Not only by white people with hoodies on, but also in very surreptitious ways.
With black politicians, I agree. Democrats,
where they are in office in office guiding policies, even
I agree
smothering
there.
Black communities. Even, let's take New York. New York votes blue, but for
damn right.
And we had a lot of trouble in Harlem, right, over the years of the 70s. But when you look at who controlled the budget during this time, there were actually red senators. See, we can have a majority in a particular community, but not have political power. The same way we had Black Wall Street in a particular community.
And I see that as a cop-out. I see that as a complete cop-out.
It's not a cop-out.
Yes, it is.
Nobody
you have
uses
complete.
No,
so the Democrats that are in power, they don't have power. It's the red people in power, even though the Democrat mayor, Democrat governor, Democrat.
I call it the North and South races. I acknowledge Biden's racist. I'm not that brother. What I am saying that if you look at the agendas and the consistency of particular parties and the constituents who have certain goals, then we have a problem. And that problem comes from the kind of policies they implement. I was giving you an example of New York, to your point, that, yeah, we tend to vote blue. But for the first time, this only in over like 4 to 5 decades, you can fact check this, bro. We only had a blue trifecta in our state, which means that we have a blue governor.
So the only way Democrats can get anything done is if all of them are Democrat, or else if there's one white guy in there, he'll be the guy with the power if it doesn't work.
We need overwhelming majority. If you look at the passing of any great bill from FDR, like the major here, let me drop this lesson real fast. Sorry. Then
let's figure out how Biden's going to fix this.
There are 4 major presidents who passed sweeping policies. I think we can agree FDR was one.
Mm-hmm.
LBJ was one.
He had more executive orders than any president ever.
Nixon was one, and Reagan was one. There was one thing that they had in common. Each of them had a supermajority in both houses, and they had a filibuster-proof Congress, and none of them had less than about 95% of the electorate. I'm talking about pouring red all over the entire country. That is what it takes to make sweeping policy. Unfortunately,
Nixon didn't have 95% of the vote. What are you talking about there?
He had about 90 to 95% of the electoral vote. Fact check me. Look at the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
95%?
No, it wasn't 95%, but yeah, he had the majority.
He had a majority, but you have to have a majority.
Yeah. How many states did Nixon lose? It's easy to do. It's about 50 states. And they ask how many states did he lose in both campaigns, and then do the same for Reagan.
Reagan definitely had. Reagan smoked the map.
Yeah, right. but Nixon's was actually more intense than Reagan's.
Nixon won 49 of the 50.
Thank you.
Of the 50 states?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And the policies that were attacking the Black community, even though we had Democrats fighting against that, they were overwhelmed by those policies on the Black community. And so now the narrative is that, well, after civil rights, look at what y'all did. No,
hold on, nobody said that here.
To the proverbial person who feels that Black people just laid down the arms after 1965, I'm telling you, there was a concerted effort.
Reagan won the thing, by the way.
And yes, and Reagan was crazy. So we're talking about between 1968 to 2008, Republicans winning 7 out of those 10 presidencies.
Oh, and just because you win the state doesn't mean you get all the House and all the Senate votes too.
No, but you get the Supreme Court consistently.
Right.
Oh, no,
and then you get the confirmation. You get the confirmation of all the laws. Like Citizens United, people are blaming. You can't blame a president. That was Supreme Court.
Oh, we can't blame a president.
You can, but it was, yeah, you can blame a president, but a Supreme Court case is my point is that the accumulation of political capital from presidents over time shows in the Supreme Court. And so the lasting effects that outlive.
I'm trying to figure out how you think Democrat policies are any good for Black people.
What I'm saying is that Democrat policies haven't been given a chance. The whole point I'm saying, if you got
what? Obama was in there for 8 years. He had a supermajority in the first 2. That's not okay. So could he have done the First Step Act? Yes or no?
Could Obama done the First Step Act?
Yes.
First of all, Obama did the Fair Housing Act.
Could he have done the First Step Act? Could he have? The answer is yes. You know it's yes. I know it's yes. The reason you don't want to answer it is because you don't want it to be true.
It's a nonsensical question.
It's not a nonsensical question. He could definitely have done it.
Obama passed the Fair Housing Act.
Good job.
Check it out. Here is the success of the First Step Act. It allowed for like 3,000 people, right, to get their case overturned. And you know where that was from?
Hold on. It actually did more than that, and let me explain how. So for those people who don't know it, so because he changed on a federal level the 3-strike law, it gave an opportunity for people who had that same issue in state laws to then go ahead and bring it back up, because then you have a precedent. So the states have to take it to the next level. So
that's what Kaysan was getting at. That's what Kaysan was getting at.
And what I'm saying, that is coming from a policy that Obama willingly signed. Trump begrudgingly signed the First Step Act.
He didn't have to do it.
He was forced to. Trump was forced to. It's on record.
He was not forced to. What do you mean forced to?
Republicans.
How?
Well, what happens is this.
Trump was forced. You don't know Donald Trump then, because Trump ain't forced to do nothing but piss in the morning.
It's on record. What I should say, it's on record that Republicans were persuading Trump to sign this. Trump didn't want to sign it.
That's not it. So let me tell you something for Republicans. Okay, you can. What do you mean it's on record? I'm just telling you. Yeah. Okay. Everybody here, fact check and see if all the old cat Republicans, Boehner, Sessions, go ahead and go through the right wing of the Republican Party, the same ones that were right wing in the 80s, 90s, and now the Joe Bidens, but on the other side, and go see. None of them were for the First Step Act. None. It's all people that are more libertarian, center right. It's none of those people.
The point I'm making is, since you brought it up under Trump and Republicans, and even if you want to use the Republicans, that's a good point, because the majority of people who voted for it were Democrats. The majority of Republicans did vote for it, but the majority of those in Congress were were Democrats. All the people who said nay to it, particularly in the Senate, actually at least 1/5 or 1/4 of the Republican Party in the Senate said no. But that's fine. I would give the Republicans credit,
because Trump is not the same Republican.
So,
we gotta get back on schedule here. We gotta get back on schedule. All right, listen.
But go ahead.
Is Biden going to do something to make things better? Because apparently it's bad. It was good, and now it's bad. What are we going to do? What's he going to do?
Well, Biden hasn't actually came out and said anything in regards to his healthcare policy, in regards to where his stance is at, in regards to whether or not he's going to try and reenact or reinstate Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act.
Well, he did mention bringing back Obamacare. Sorry.
No, you're good.
He did what now?
Okay, Sam, you keep bringing it in, brother.
I was just saying he did mention that he wanted to bring back Obamacare.
I hadn't heard that.
He caught slack on that from the left.
He said that a long time ago. He said that like before the presidential debates and stuff, before the Democratic debates, or right around like the Iowa caucus and all that. Right around the time that was going on. That was months ago. But yeah, he hasn't come out and said anything since then. And if that's where he stands, I just don't see right now. America is still, even though it seems like America's a progressive, America's still pretty moderate. It's like moderate progressive. So I just don't think the majority of Americans are going to go for a centralized healthcare system or non-privatized healthcare system. I mean, healthcare needs to be privatized. People need to be able to say, okay, I want it. I don't want it. I don't need to have a penalty to worry about if I don't want it.
I think that's the best part about America, right? We have the liberty to choose.
It is going to be hard.
The freedom of choice, but that's the whole point that I'm trying to make is that, look, everybody needs healthcare. Without healthcare,
I agree.
We're doomed. But some people really don't care. Like if I don't want to drive, don't force me to get a driver's license. I don't want to drive. I want to be chauffeur.
If you don't have a car, you're not forced to get our car insurance.
Right.
Yeah,
I would say this. The problem, and to me, it is hard because there are definitely issues, and just so Kaysan knows, on this show, we've talked about it, that all three of us believe that there is systematic racism in this country. So the answer to how to beat it and to move, and it's, I know, speaking for myself, it's came a long way. It's got a fair amount of way to go, but I think the way to go is through freedom. I don't think it's through mass amounts of policy. I think it's through releasing restrictions, not through adding restrictions, in the hope that you can somehow guide this group to be able to match up with this group, and then always assuming that causation and correlation go together. And that's what I see when I see the left. Not saying that you've done that today. I'm just saying that that is the argument that I often hear. So for me, I want people to be free. And so the ways that we can, when people are, making sure that there's no redlining, or making sure that there's no, no systems in place, that's one of the reasons why I like the First Step Act. It's one of the reasons why I like the idea of opportunity zones. I do think that gives opportunity. I know some people are like, well, it gives opportunity to white people to build it up and then it's going to gentrify. Okay, well, then let's make the tweaks necessary. That's why I like that Trump has the round tables, and I wish he would listen to more of those people. I think, those 45 black people that are all from different areas, all different things, I think a cumulative thought process by them can help people move along in a better way, because I want it to be free. I want to see people not have to be the exception to the deal. I'd rather them be able to come from this bad situation and get better. But me, as a father who fought from, I've been fighting for fathers' rights for almost 10 years now. I've seen it, and the stats all will back up that lack of fatherhood has decimated communities across the nation. So we can argue about what's bothered things worse, but I think that people are mad that comes up, and so they try to make that a race issue so that we don't solve it. We could do joint custody in this country like that, and we don't. And I think it's in large part to keep people poor. Yes, black people, but also poor white people. They love to keep people poor because poor has no power.
So very, very fast. So it's ironic for me to hear you say that, you acknowledge systemic racism, but you actually give cover to those. And I want to take you at your word, but you give cover to the party and to the policies that are perpetuating systemic racism and the narrative.
Well, we disagree.
Here's one question about that. Black poverty has been consistently at least twice as high as maybe in some cases 6 times as high, actually, compared to white wealth. Black unemployment has been consistently as 2 times as worse than white communities. And we see that before the 70s. So to cherry pick the cause of that,
it's not cherry picking.
It's not the historic issue. When you want to say, so you're making a very conservative argument and not looking at the systemic argument. When you want to pinpoint black fathers, well, black unemployment was low in the 60s. It was low in the 50s.
But the fatherless homes in the 60s wasn't as high as it is now.
Yes, but he's trying to
like 20% in the 50s and 60s. Now it's like 70.
Yes, my friend.
Right, and the crime wasn't as high either. There was way more white people in jail.
There was but the big but is when you want to trace black unemployment and poverty to something that didn't exist while black poverty was still raging is the problem I'm saying.
Well, the problem, what I'm saying is that you're always connecting everything backwards, and I'm talking about forward. So to look backwards, you can look backwards and find out, okay,
that's how you diagnose things.
Hold on. Well, no, not staring backwards. You don't. You actually learn from the past, and then you move forward with different things. And what you're doing is you're trying to connect something because you want it to be that way more than what it actually is.
Oh, no, I'm not.
So, well, I think you are. Just like you think I'm doing the opposite. I think liberal policies.
The president of the United States.
Hold on, let me finish. I just let you finish. On liberal policies, I feel like you're propagating what suffocates the black culture. And so I hate to see that. And I want to see everybody come up. And I believe that the liberal socialist agenda is horrific for black people. I don't think it's ever worked for them. And so
when can it have worked?
I see it that way.
But you felt, my friend. You're talking like Trump. Like
no, I'm not talking like Kenny.
I just gave you a fact.
You did not.
I gave you a falsifiable statement that Republicans have dominated American politics through the electoral vote and through the Supreme
To
Court
1988.
from
1992.
from 68 all up to at least 2008. That is something that I want somebody to fact check. So when someone says, well, I'm going to cherry pick 8 years, then you're saying that
you're cherry picking. You just cherry picked from 68
of American
to
society.
80.
I'm giving you a breath because you're saying that I'm
Kassan,
looking back.
When you say Republicans had full charge, what exactly are you referring to? Are you saying President, Senate, House all together? Or
no, of course not. No, of course not.
No, I'm not saying it all together. I use it as a point to show that even what Kenny was saying is that there are places where there are some Democrats. But what I'm saying that having Democrats,
I just want to understand how they have majority control.
So the majority control works like this in American politics. It's usually a tag team. If you have a president for enough years, you are guaranteed an opportunity usually to appoint Supreme Court justices who can then reaffirm policies or initiatives that you might not be able to pass or maintain under your presidency. So my point is, for example, when Nixon gets in, when he attacks the Black community, this is protected by Congress, by at the time it was the
So you're
House,
talking about
House,
Nixon a lot. So am I supposed to just start talking about Lyndon B. Johnson?
No, I'm
just.
You can,
because you're using a straw man the hell out of Nixon.
No. I'm giving you a beginning point. Nixon is representing a momentous era, and as a symbolic force and political force. The point is that there was a major shift in politics, particularly among white voters. There was a white flight from the Democratic Party, and the control. Let me do it the reverse. No Democratic president ever won the white vote since the Civil Rights Movement.
Won the white vote?
Right. This is very important.
Well, I don't understand. What's that got to do with anything? I mean, I don't. First of all, there hasn't been that many Black people that have ran.
Have you seen the state of Maryland?
I mean,
I say it again. No Democratic president has won the white vote since 1968, a Civil Rights Movement. Why is that important? Is because when we look at the stated reasons why white voters took a sudden shift from the Democratic Party, it was because they were anti-racial uplift. They were anti-Black people flooding the polls. I have quotes, if you would like some, from some people.
Anecdotal quotes?
From
Yep. And the
conservative.
ones that you were criticizing earlier that you were saying. I mean, I got lots of racist quotes.
I'm talking about politicians.
Okay, do you know how many Democrat politicians are racist on the left?
Absolutely. But what I'm saying, I'm being consistent in the reason. Yes, Biden.
No, because you want it to be that reason. You want it to be because Republicans are racist. Democrats are horrible. No, because it's not racist.
Initiative. I'm not saying individuals cannot be racist on both sides. I am saying the overarching motives of the core base and groups of these positions.
Yes, the core base of liberals is to hold Black people down. That is my belief. Yes, in the last 20 years that we're talking about right now.
And that's what's insane because
it's not insane. Every single Democrat-led city. And your argument is that the Supreme Court is somehow dictating that when we all know that you can vote on judges get placed. So we can go through and look at all the liberal places that place
you don't vote on judges directly. We don't vote on judges.
You can vote on judges. Most are appointed.
I'm talking about federal judges. Federal
judges get appointed and then get voted on every year.
So I have some statistics here for you guys that are
federal judges that have lifetime appointments.
Here we go. Hold on.
Federal judges have lifetime appointments.
But federal judges have very small compared to the states.
So this is just white votes based on presidential elections only. To the left is Republican, that's red. To the blue is Democrat, that's blue, right? As you can see, I can try and make it a little bigger if I remove.
I can't see. I'll let you read it.
I'll read it off to you guys. All right. So starting from 76, you had 52-48, 80, 56-36, 84, 66-34, 88, 60-40, 92, 41, 41-39 in 92. almost
That
even.
got close. Yeah.
96, 46, 44, almost even again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 2000, 55, 42.
How much just got racist that year, but good.
2004, 58, 41. 2008, even Barack Obama brought it back to 55, 43. The second term, it dropped drastically, 59 to 39.
Yes. And you can go back a little bit. So the point I'm saying is that there was an identity politics enacted by white voters consciously. This pattern is not always the same. I'm trying to show concretely support for the kinds of claims I'm making about groups,
but you're not,
and not just individuals.
You're just showing that more white people vote Republican and making the assertion that means because it's holding back the black man. I'm saying that's not true.
Why is it that the Republicans are voting? So let me say this. Let's suppose you're right, Kenny. I'm gonna take on your word. I'm gonna do a thought experiment.
Yep.
Liberals are holding back black people, but in the last run of years, Republicans have had the majority.
Oh, well, hold on. Also, the right, if you want to take the 20%, because I'm a libertarian, so if you want to take the outside right 20% of Republicans, you can put them in the same bucket of shit.
Because it's about political mass. It's about political mass.
No, but they all agree with the same thing.
But I'm talking about political mass. Political mass, politics work in a way where if a party gets to office, then they have more momentum than they would have had based on a particular group who was in favor of a particular policy. So we all may be on the same team, and I might have a policy. Individually, my policy don't get that much run. But as a unit, if we conquer something, I get more room to maneuver, is what I'm saying. So whoever enables the Republican Party or any kind of racist policy that comes out of it, even though they disagree with it, they have simply enabled it.
It's the same thing on the Democrat Party. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But the point,
and so the Democrat Party doing the same exact thing.
But here's the difference, though. My question was going to be this: even if you're right that Democrats are somehow tricking black people, we still got to ask the question: why are Republicans voting against us and our interests?
Give me a policy. Give me a policy if they're voting against your
voting right. Let's take the Voting Rights Act.
Okay, you're talking about the
Obamacare.
Okay, let's take Obamacare. Obamacare is not pro-black. Sorry, it's not a good policy. It's a shit policy.
It's what we want. It's what we want as a majority.
No. Well, I'll tell you what. The Voting Rights Act is
black. Yes, thank you very much.
Pro-black. So I think that's a good one.
Thank you very much.
Use Obamacare. But
okay, well, he can say that, but I don't believe having an ID is rocket science.
That's not my question, though. I understand what you believe.
You're trying to lump black people as a group. And
no. I'm talking about the interests of black folks as a majority. My point is, you were saying that Democrats as a majority have a particular motive. And I'm showing, and I'm arguing that Republicans have had one as well, which has been antagonistic.
I'm saying it has zero to do with because see, that's the difference. Democrat looks at everything through black lenses. So if you want to have a voting right, is the black person? You're not looking at it through the black eyes. No, I'm not looking at it through black eyes. You know why? Because I'm not black, so I can't look at it through black eyes. Just like you can't look at it through white eyes. It doesn't work like that. You can't even speak for Glenn, and you're black. No, let me finish. Because it doesn't matter to me.
I'm not.
I know
why
I'm not.
do Republicans vote against black interests?
I'm not. Because I don't give a damn what the average group of black people think about something. I care about what the
80% of blacks vote for the Democratic Party, and we want certain things. Republicans vote against the Democratic
Party.
Party.
Immigration? So you didn't want that before, but now you want it. Why the switch?
What do you mean we didn't want it before?
Obama was very harsh on illegal immigration, and black people were way against it now, or for it, the restriction of them. Now all of a sudden they're very pro-immigrant. So why did the black culture change there, Kason?
Well, I don't follow that the black culture has shifted on that.
Well, it has. So I'm wondering why it has.
Well, no. Just like Malcolm X said, I have no problems with the Vietnamese. So you're trying to pit some problem.
Oh, okay.
You're trying to
so
pit
now,
some problem between black
now you
and
don't
immigrants.
accept the fact that the party just jumps when it wants to jump, and then you say how high.
That's not
because
that's not
actually what happens.
You're
voting
from
the voting right.
You're running
no, I'm
from
not.
the question.
No, I'm not. The voting rights.
You are
no,
running
I'm not.
from the fact.
No, I'm not.
That
Should you? I think
from the fact that Republicans largely and wholly vote against black interests.
No, I disagree.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
And that's just
I disagree with what you're saying. Black interests are.
There's evidence for this.
And that's just a vague statement. Like, look, let's be specific. We've been talking. We keep
Voting Rights Act.
Sure.
We said Voting Rights Act.
People.
So
Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, because when you say voting against black interests, that's very vague. You know what I mean? Like.
So you say
be specific.
You want
Voting Rights Act of 1965, or
gotta be
the one
specific.
that
Yes,
I don't
it got
agree
gutted.
with
It
you.
got gutted. It got.
Okay,
I feel you.
so
I feel you. It got gutted. Under Shelby versus Shelby County versus Holder, started in 2008.
So which part?
It was
Which part
settled
are we
in
talking about
2013.
right now?
The VRA. Black people are.
This is the
pissed at
Voting
that.
Rights Act. Which one?
Right.
Which part? Which
19
part? Let's talk about whatever part of the
Yeah,
Voting Rights Act that you want to talk about.
Section 5 got cut. That's the one that got cut.
That's the one that forced people, and I don't have it in front of me, so hold on a second. Is that the one that said that you had to section?
Bringing it up.
Yep.
Here we go. All right, so it's kind of small, so I'll read off, just paraphrase here. On June 25th, 2013, United States Supreme Court held it. It is unconstitutional to use the coverage formula in Section 4B of the Voting Rights Act to determine which jurisdictions are subject to the clearance requirement of Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Shelby County versus Holder. Supreme Court did not rule on the constitutionality of Section 5 itself. The effect of Shelby County decision is that the jurisdiction identified by the coverage formula in Section B no longer need to seek the clearance for the new voting changes unless they are covered by a separate court order entered under Section 3. That's just
well, look, instead of reading all this jargon, Keshawn,
that jargon is important for the black community.
I'm saying
because it's damaging us.
Anybody that's
okay, well then explain it in your terms what it does.
They don't understand what I did already.
All right. Well, basically,
yeah, because I'm telling you right now, your community, just so you know, and my community, 95% have no idea what this is talking about. So go ahead and say what is actually deeply affecting so many people in poverty. But go ahead.
Well, the first thing it does, it takes away the requirement for states such as North Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Virginia, to make adjustments to the restrictions on voting.
So they
previously,
can't make restrictions?
what happened? No, now they can make restrictions without the oversight of
a specific
federal government,
of a specific group
of an examiner. Immediately after, there's been an attack on the voting facilities in various states. Immediately after, and in fact, it was documented to have spread to about 38 states and have shown a direct impact on voter turnout among black people. Now, the argument is that we're trying to stop illegal immigrants, but it's mainly happening.
That's actually literally what the lady in Georgia said.
But it's happening largely in black communities, is the point. So the rhetoric is saying one thing, but the effect is another.
So you have a problem, Kason, with getting an ID?
I have a problem.
The $15 that it takes.
So you're justifying it again.
No, I'm asking.
It's not just an ID.
I'm not rationalizing it.
He's rationalizing the fact.
No, I'm asking him. He's trying to avoid the question.
No, I'm gonna answer the question.
He's gonna avoid it and then make it racism. Let's go.
Well, listen. If the initial question was to pinpoint a particular policy, as my brother said, let's get specific, where Republicans were against something that black people was for, I showed that simply. Which means now for him, I wanted to know his response on, does he accept that? He wants to now justify it. Of course, it's going to be justified.
You weren't even clear on. You said that
You get what I'm saying?
You said that they refused. So
Look,
my thing would be, well,
maybe
why?
Black people, maybe
they
people
don't need that.
this. Maybe we don't need that. But the point is, again, Black people are suffering from this, and they feel that we need this. We feel like it's an attack on our civil rights.
Right, because you're getting used by the Democrats.
He wants to rationalize it. No,
what do you mean I want to rationalize it? Yes, the Black community. They know the liberals know that what they'll do is
forget liberals. Keep it with the Black community, Black people. I'm talking about.
Well,
what do Black
if you're
people
being puppeted, then you might want to know who the puppet master is.
So Black people are being puppeted.
Yes, some of them absolutely they are.
Statement here. This is not a racist statement here. This is not a racist statement here.
Yes,
that Black
it's racist. So hold on. So if I said Republicans are puppeted, so if I say Republicans are puppeted, but it's not. That's not racist, right?
Who Republicans puppeted by? You're saying that we puppeted by white folks. That's what you're assuming.
They're puppeted by other people in power who want to try to get them to do whatever the opposite side is. It's the same shit.
No, it's different because there was a white flight to the Republican Party. Republican Party
is white people in charge on both sides. Then it's only racist when they do it to Black people.
When you say Black people are being puppeted, when I'm trying to show a policy that Black people want, you're saying that Black people are wanting something. We fought and died for that thing.
if you fought and died so a group of people can reassess whether or not something was done. No,
this is the blatant racism in this comment.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Unbelievable.
It's so racism.
It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful.
Everything's
disrespectful.
What you're in your feelings because you want it to be racist, but it's not about racism. It's not. You said because I'm allowed to.
You're talking about Black
First of
people
all,
being
Black
puppeted.
people are not a monolith. Okay, so let's get over this talking about Black people. Okay?
But we're talking about the majority of Black people and their interests right now.
Right, and I'm saying they're used by the Democrat Party, and that hurts your feelings.
My brother Glenn, right? Glenn?
Yeah.
He curved what I was saying.
I didn't curve what you were saying.
Not you. I said Glenn. I say curve what I was saying for me to be specific. So I'm bringing this in on a specific issue around the Black community.
Right, and I said it depends on what you're going to look at here.
And now, but you're saying that we're being puppeted to want this very issue that is a part of our history. It's in Black history.
Which is the whole reason why liberals know they can use this. That's exactly why.
You don't understand.
You think they're just stupid, the leadership?
Intelligent Black people. I would consider myself an intelligent man, a person who have graduate degrees across the board, like 3 masters. Not to brag, but I would say that I can.
That's an argument from authority, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, you're arguing that that we are puppets. So
I didn't say everyone was a puppet. So
you're saying you want to be a puppet. You're saying Black people are a puppet. You're dancing around this. You call Black people puppets to the liberals.
I'm not dancing around it. Yes, I didn't dance around it. Liberals do use Black voters as puppets. They absolutely do. They pander.
Are they using us?
And they use white people the same way on the right for Republicans.
Are they using us on this specific issue here?
Yes. Yes, they are. Because this is not
the Black people
look,
who
I want every Black person to be able to vote. Every single one. The NAACP is a joke.
You're not allowing us to do that. You're
What
supporting
do you mean
Trump.
I'm not allowing you to do that?
You're here arguing for a fascist Trump and a group of people who are gutting the voting
rights.
It's
definitely not a fascist. You clearly don't know what fascism is.
Wait a minute. We're throwing out a lot of keywords.
I know. That's it. Racism, fascism. He's got all the notes. Listen, it's all the bullet points.
I'm sorry, but it fits for Trump. When you have a president, who is actually showing support for a traitorous group of people like the Confederate, who's responsible for more deaths to Americans, who killed more Americans than Hitler. When you got a person who can ignore his own intelligence
Confederate flags
over in preference of Putin, someone who doesn't mind.
He's in favor of Putin. Hold on, you're just riddling off Democrat talking points. So this is getting
it's not Democrat talking points.
Yes, it is.
Is it not true that?
So he's tight with Putin.
Is it?
I just want to get it clear. He's tight with Putin.
Is it not true?
Is it not true?
That's the question.
Is it not true?
Is it not true?
Hold on, Kenny.
Yeah, listen, guys, listen. I hear a whole lot of like throwing out keywords and like buzzwords. I need to see some, like, if we're gonna throw out a statement, I need some proof to back it up. We're gonna do this another show because this is way off topic.
Yeah, well, I submitted a lot of proof that could be fact checked.
Way off topic. All right, so let's get back. How does anything Biden's gonna do make any of this better?
Because he's not Trump. You didn't get it? That's what he's been saying for the last 30 minutes.
Well, the first thing is that
Trump's a fascist.
Yes. Thanks for saying it. It is true. You know it. You feel it in your bones.
Yeah, right.
You feel it.
Yeah.
I know you feel better
All
about
right,
saying
well,
it.
we can have that show another night.
Yeah.
Get back on Biden.
Obama didn't do
Listen.
as many executive orders, but we're all good.
I'm sorry. Listen, the same way. I mean, let me tell you something.
The same way that
let me just explain something really quick, because look, the Voters' Rights Act the 1965. Obviously, we all know.
I'm not
by
saying
President Lyndon B. Johnson. So it was aimed to overcome legal barriers at the state and local levels that prevented African Americans from exercising their rights to vote, as guaranteed under the 15th Amendment and blah, blah, blah. So the Voting Rights Act is considered one of the most far-reaching pieces of civil rights legislation in U.S. history. So why... That's what it is, Kenny. That's what it is. So for one, you would have to explain to me what would be the positive reason for getting rid of it, and two, just so everybody's clear, this was an act that specifically granted Black people, specifically Black people, the right to vote and uninhibitedly, without any sort of restrictions whatsoever. And so I know people bring up the license, the ID. That's a small thing. And even with the Voters' Rights Act, that could have still been enacted. You can still have your pieces.
I don't think, and I'm not saying that I don't think anybody is trying to get rid of the Voting Rights Act. What I'm saying is
Trump wants to get rid of it.
Well, he wanted to get, my understanding is that, and I'll go back and do some more research on it. I research a lot, can't research everything, but I will if I know about it. But my understanding was that he wanted to overdo the part where the oversight, that there was an extra level of oversight. Okay.
So he wanted to revisit the act or add an amendment to it.
And what I'm understanding, and again, I'll go back and look, but this is what I heard about it, was that the understanding was that we got to a certain point where now, because this is there, they were going to have the big group of illegal immigrants trying to basically make it more all-encompassing, and that it was not protecting Black people any longer. Now, if it is, then let's have that actual discussion instead of just throwing racism and fascism. Let's have a discussion on that. And if it's not needed anymore, everything isn't needed forever. And I believe when I read this earlier, there was a portion of time that it was only supposed to last for a specific period of time. They just kept, and they eventually made it just always stick. And so now the concern is, and my thing is like, why can't Democrats look at it and go, hey, if the Republicans are concerned about this and we don't want to have Black people not voting, right? Most people want Black people to vote. The vast, vast majority of this country is not Confederate flag waving rednecks that are banging their sister and want to stop Blacks from voting. So why can't we have a discussion? We can't have a discussion because immediately people go, oh, if you want to get rid of a part of it, then you're a fascist racist. I mean, that's just not productive. And I think if you want to go, and that's why I brought up the license, because there's certain pieces to it that if the pieces, I do think, we've talked about this before on our show, but whether felons should be able to vote over what period of time, I think we should have some sort of nationalized thing. There's some states that allow you to do it, some that don't. But those discussions can be had, but they get shut down immediately when somebody goes, oh, well, all Black people think this way. And if you don't agree with that, if you're trying to get rid of it, you're a racist. It's like, well, maybe there's pieces of it that I'm concerned are protecting this idea that is not good for the country as a whole, because I do think about the country as a whole. And yes, I want to see people. I'm extremely passionate about people that grew up poor, regardless of race, but predominantly Black. So those things, the idea that would just be something, yes, I believe the left media does the same thing that the right media did for years when they were scaring people about illegal immigration. Each side uses people as puppets. They do. They find something they're very passionate about. Police brutality. 9 people died last year that way. A whole bunch of more people die a whole bunch of different ways. And it's like, well, why is that one? They sparked that fire because that fire burns. And it's real. People feel it. I'm sure you're both Black men. You've been pulled over, had certain things happen where you felt it. So it's real. And so all I'm saying is when we start taking those angles towards shutting down stuff, basing it all off race, it kills discussion when you can get to the other levels. And instead of getting to the other level to see if you can catch this person being a racist, if you get this person to a policy level, most people want good policy. And it's the same thing we talk about on our show all the time. We want people to vote that are supposed to be able to vote. And then there's some things that I guess society will have to vote whether it's okay to vote or not. Go ahead. I know we got to wrap up soon.
That sounds nice, but I don't think that's honest.
So
because
it's not racist.
Better.
No, because of this. I want to back it up with some facts here. When you have a president who says that if more people can vote, Republicans would lose. When you have a senator who says that we need to generate more angry white men, this is Senator Lindsey Graham, right? South Carolina.
Yeah.
When you have conservative activists,
and he said, "Well, we need more angry white men." Is that what you said?
We need to generate more angry. I'll read it off to you.
Yeah, read the
verbatim.
Quote, please. Mm-hmm.
I read it to you verbatim. The demographics race we are losing badly. We're not generating enough angry white guys to stay in the business for the long term. Somebody who is a champion for gutting the Voting Rights Act. This is a United States senator of much influence, an influential figure who is symbolic of the kind of policies that his constituents are voting for him and his other colleagues for, who support and protect Trump. When minorities hear
so Trump didn't say that?
And then here, no, this is Senator
so Trump didn't say
Lindsey
that.
Graham.
Oh, okay.
But this is, Trump didn't say that. No, we want to know what Trump said. Trump did say if more people were allowed to vote, that the Republicans would lose.
Okay.
Yes,
I think we're on another show here. This is not the show.
I'd have to look at the context, but I know.
Well, Freddie, the point of me saying this is that black people on a whole.
Well, we don't have much to say about Biden, so it's just all anti-Trump.
Honestly, Trump put that on himself, and that's where it is right now.
I agree. I get where you're going with this, Kason. I just want to know, instead of saying Trump, tell me what Biden's going to do to make things better.
I'm going to say the way Trump said it about Obama. He's going to dismantle what Trump has done.
That's all right. I mean, that's a statement, but that's a blanket statement.
It is a blanket statement. If you really want to know what Biden's going to do, Biden has it down. I was going to read what Biden has said recently about Obamacare. The information that we're asking, there's some information that's really available. So it's like I just took a couple of seconds just to see what Biden has recently submitted. It's really, I think for some people, it's not about that. It's about justifying things. So it really is about Trump for us, because people who are ready to vote for Biden obviously are very pissed off at Trump. It doesn't mean that Biden is their best pick. We just want to know that.
No, and we've said this on the show plenty of times.
Right. So we're on the same page on that. So
people haven't voted for the president. People haven't voted for the president the last 6 times for the best candidate. They voted for the candidate they thought was going to do the least damage to the country. Yeah.
And
which is sad.
But here's what's interesting though, that there is I would say, a declaration among those who do vote, particularly consistently for conservatives. There is a continued narrative that echoes the reduction of the voter participation rate. Kenny saying maybe Kenny is the exception of his red pack who wants everybody to vote, but the leaders in his party are not seeing that. And while Kenny may be a cool dude, he's not at Capitol Hill, so I can't vote on that. I can't use his words on that. But I'm saying I'm looking at the voting patterns of those in office.
If that was true, then why are they so pro having illegal immigrants vote? Just answer that. If that's really what it is, if it's really just legal black guys, then how come they don't get behind?
Democrats are not pro voting without having proper citizenship. We are for.
Oh, they're not.
We are
so
for
why
a
have you
pathway.
not? Name which Democrat leader in the last 7 months, a year, has came out and said that? Because I believe they asked that on the Democratic stage, and no one put their hand up.
That's a fallacy question. It's not.
What do you mean?
There's a lot of things
How
that.
come everything is a fallacy question? It's a real question. It's a fact.
Well,
Everybody Google it. Go back and watch. They asked who's for that. Put your hand up. None of them put their hand up. That's a fact.
It's like making an assertion about Freddie.
You don't have to make an assertion. Did you watch?
Because you didn't say X, Y, and Z.
Watch the Democratic debates.
And I make that assumption. It's more of
Did you watch the Democratic debates?
Yes, I did. Not all of it, but I did some of it.
Okay, and so you don't remember that part? You don't remember when they asked and said, "Put your hand in the air," and nobody put their hand in the air?
I don't remember that part. But here's what I do know: that the policy and the policies that have been proposed were consistent with creating a pathway for illegals under certain conditions to become citizens and then vote.
Well, of course, if you become a citizen. I don't think anybody's argued if you became a citizen.
I'm telling you what
we're not talking about that.
No, but you are obscuring that from the Democratic platform regarding illegal immigrants, my friend. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, Democrats now they're for illegal immigrants now. Gotcha. But they weren't before, but I guess you were obfuscating that fact back then. Listen, and they were racist, and then they weren't racist anymore. They switched sides.
If you want to go with that, fine. You know, Trump was for Obama at once, and then he wasn't at once, right? So we're talking about now, all right? Let's do it like that. So, he was for Obama.
You're against.
He was for Obama. He said Trump said
against McCain.
Trump said about for everything. Trump said Obama did a great job in the economy. That he's a champion. That he's a leader. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
but it's not your fault because Trump. He says anything.
It's not my fault.
He says
not my fault.
He goes back and forth on things. Trump is
none of it's my fault.
And I'm just saying
Trump is just doing a good job, and I know that bothers you. He's taking it.
He's doing a good job, and I say this lame blaming, but Trump is a serial liar about these policies, and he's a narcissist.
There's another
Here he goes. I know.
But
it's true. How many names can we come up with?
I don't care, but it's true.
I know.
But it's true, and I know you don't like it, but
Obama's not though, right? Hey, Putin, I'll have some more flexibility after the election.
Obama's not.
But Trump's best friends with Putin.
Yeah, he is.
I know.
We got American soldiers who have.
And speaking
of
how much money are you getting from Russia, Biden?
And speaking of veterans, good. See how much of you really feel about American lives. Speaking of veterans. Trump
caring about American lives.
Trump ruined.
What have you done, Case? On a whole bunch of nothing.
Obama has fully funded the veterans. Obama has supported the intelligence community.
Oh, Obama! Hold on. You talking about the guy that didn't give him a raise for 10 years? Look it up. Look it up. Everybody out there, look it up. Obama gave the smallest raise in the last 30 years
during a recession. But guess what?
Here comes the excuses. I got one. Let's put it on.
It's all the same. Look, no matter who you support. Look,
Obama was great for the troops. You're so full of crap.
Kenny, the facts are hurting you, Kenny.
The facts are going to hurt you. Hold on, I got one right here.
The truth is this. Yes, Obama made
truth will set you free.
Obama made some slip-ups, but guess what, everybody? Better than Trump, who's supposed to be this patriot, Mr. Bonesburg.
8 years, GDP went up 4,000. 4 trillion. 4 trillion in 8 years.
And Trump ain't do.
Trump went up
oh my God.
Trump went up 2.5 and 2. He's averaging $1 trillion a year increase in GDP.
Trump's economy is like 0.3%, as we already noted, as a fact. He ain't do jack, bro.
3% more than Obama.
To be right, he's standing on Obama's shoulders.
0.3 out of 820 trillion.
Trump is like some dude on the bench in a basketball game.
After
somebody like Kobe,
he came in and scored more. So hold on, you just said he did more.
And then
so if Kobe scored 50,
Jordan came like 2 points before the bell hits and said,
"Let's put a wrap on it."
That I scored all these points. He contributed what he contributed. Why don't you give?
I love the fact that you both are adamant. You're adamant about Obama. You're adamant about Trump. But let's stick to Biden, please. All right. I get it. Biden is Trump's left hand man or Obama's left hand man. But I need to know what Biden's going to do to make things better. I need to know what his policies are. All right. We're going to do 5 minutes each, and then we're going to wrap this thing up.
Two.
His policies are
2 minutes each. 2 minutes each.
2 minutes each. Why should I vote for Biden? And don't say because of Trump. I want to hear what he's going to do to make things better.
That's the best reason, though.
That's exactly why Biden won't debate Trump.
That's not why.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Trump is like, listen.
I know. You and I both know that Biden don't want to debate Trump.
That is not well. If you really feel that way, then I can't say anything. I would.
You're right.
Trump is an idiot.
So look.
What do you think about Trump support for? My question to Kenny is: what about Trump support? What about Trump support?
What about Trump?
For Article 12 of the Constitution? What do you think about that? Is it okay?
Oh, geez, let's look it up. Which portion? Let's see. Article 12. What about it? What about it?
I mean, should we support
Amendment?
Should we Article 12 of the Constitution? Should we support that with Trump? I mean, I'm willing to if you're willing to, but I want to know if you as a libertarian if you're down for it.
Well, what is it so that I don't have to? I mean, I don't have everything memorized. Okay. 12th Amendment to the Constitution.
12? No, it's Article 12.
Article 12.
Yeah.
And I Googled that, and Google didn't even care.
And if it's
hold on a second. Article 12 of the Constitution of the U.S. All right, Constitution.
So while he's looking it up,
John,
what is Article 12? Give us a little lesson here.
I really want to defer because I'm willing to learn on this one.
All right.
Because if I say something, I know I want to put a liberal or black spin on it. I don't want to.
I mean, you're expecting me to come up with an opinion on something that I got to read this whole paragraph on. So let's see.
Well, it's I don't know specifically about Article 12. I've read it, but I did want to talk about Biden.
Okay,
I know.
Well,
we can't.
We can't. It was.
Quit on Biden.
I did a bad joke. It doesn't exist. Trump talks about the Constitution. He makes up stuff.
Amendment right here. What are you talking about?
Article 12.
Article
12. I said it a bunch of times. There is no Article 12. This is what Trump does over and over. And so when I call him a liar, when I say he's surreptitious because he says stuff to people.
So what did he say about Article 12?
Kids, that he fully support Article 12. That he's going to support Article 12. There is no Article 12.
Oh, he can't make him make a mistake. Oh my gosh. He didn't know there was no Article 12. I look at this shit all day and I missed there was no Article 12.
Yeah. So
he was tricking people. That's what he was doing.
No, he's just an idiot. And he just he misinforms people consistently on things that matter.
Biden doesn't even know that
that's not even
one nation under God. What about that?
Listen, we go back and forth about these guys. Listen, Biden can't complete a coherent statement in the last 3 months. All right, so we can go back and forth on that.
He's still better than Trump. His statement's got more sense than Trump's.
All right, so I'll say this.
I'll take 2 minutes. I'll take 2 minutes.
You're going to get 2 minutes.
He just took us 2 minutes to do that terrible thing, had me looking up something that I couldn't find because it doesn't exist.
2 minutes. That's it. 2 minutes.
And that's what we've been doing.
Convince me. Why should I vote for Biden? Convince me. 2 minutes. Kenny, go.
Why you should vote for Biden? Because you're racist if you don't. You just gotta vote for Biden because Trump is big orange man bad. He believed in the 12th article. There is no 12th article. He's a racist. He hates black people. He hates. And I don't know. Biden, he was his left-hand man if he was right-handed because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But because we got to stop this racist America. That's why. That's all I got for you.
Man.
Oh man, vote for Biden because you don't like Trump. I mean, isn't that what everybody else is doing? I mean, shit. You guys can't hear it. Everybody's cracking up in the background right now. But no, vote for Biden because you don't like Trump, because you think Trump is divisive and you don't like his rhetoric. But no, in all seriousness, that is a pretty good reason to vote for Biden. I mean, I don't think that Trump does a good job of bringing the country together. But in terms of actual policies, we didn't really get a chance to really sink our teeth into the policy, believe it or not. We talked all night about Trump instead of Biden. Holy surprise. But I really did want to get into foreign policy. I think if there's one topic that Biden can maybe kind of go back and forth with on Trump, because I just think Trump has a lot of blemishes when it comes to this particular topic. But foreign policy, he could talk about everything that the Iran deal did. Trump got out of the Iran deal, but not only that, Trump said that he was going to get Iran to come back to the negotiating table in hopes of sparking a new deal. Obviously, it was an empty promise. It never happened. So I think foreign policy is the one place where Biden, can really kind of stand toe-to-toe with Trump. But in terms of, I know everybody kind of kept asking during the show, what is Biden going to do to make things better? I think he's just going to show a sense of empathy. But, in terms of his rhetoric and if he decides to tweet or use Twitter. However, Biden has lied about his record in the civil rights movement. He lied about his role that he played. He lied about desegregating movie theaters and things like that. He also enacted the crime bill in 1995, Clinton era, which locked away more black men than anything we've seen in our lifetime. So, I look, at the end of the day, politicians are always going to have something on their belt that somebody didn't like. So, for people that are Trump supporters, they're gonna have an excuse for anything wrong that he does. There are people that are Biden supporters, or just like when people were Obama supporters, they had excuses whenever they did something wrong too. So it is what it is. If you want to vote for Biden, vote for Biden. If you want to vote for Trump, vote for Biden.
And I'll give each one of you some time for closing arguments or to give your little spiel real quick. But this is just convincing me and our audience of why we should vote for him. Okay, Son, you got your 2 minutes right now, brother.
Okay, well, I think it depends. There are certain things that people prioritize. And if you prioritize someone who displays false confidence, I think Trump is your guy. But if you want somebody who is honest about their own flaws, who has admitted that they made mistakes, then I think Biden is your guy. Is that a guarantee that each one of them will play out in the way that I see it? No, but it's something to consider. Also to consider, Trump is a guy who is on the record for saying that I hope the recession will happen because people like me will make a lot of money, right? And he fans in people's faces that he's donating his, $500,000 check per year to, just donating it for a good cause. But meanwhile, he's charging the Secret Service for protecting him and his businesses. He's ramping up expenditures to like $340 million playing golf. He's ignoring American professionals in various industries, in health and military and education. Like, this is the guy. If that's what you want, then you vote for Trump. But if you want somebody who's going to be a little bit more sincere, who is also flawed, then I think Biden is your guy. Finally, I think that if you really, really care about a country that has to face its original sin of racism and slavery, then you have to move away from somebody who is openly supporting the Confederate flag. That's it.
Roger that. All right, so now to wrap this thing up, we're going to give you each your own little airtime to put your little spiel on things, give you 1 minute each to wrap this up and tell me whatever you want to say about what we conversed about all night. Kenny, go ahead.
Yep. This is what Biden has
done. Go ahead, share it back. All right.
Oh, yeah, how'd it go? This is what Biden has done. Okay, just so everybody doesn't forget, because people can say whatever they want to say. This chart right here shows the incarceration rates. Okay, and we all know who proportionally was incarcerated unfairly. And we can act like it doesn't happen because it doesn't fit the narrative. But I encourage people to actually, instead of just looking at what you're supposed to do, look deep into it. You'll find out. You'll see all the racist things that Biden's done. He doesn't need to lean on anybody but his own record. He said racist things time after time. He's implemented policies that have strategically hurt a lot of people in this country. And it's a sad shame. He doesn't want to have to live with that record, but he will have to live with it. And Democrats are the ones that wanted the recession. They wanted the recession just like they want people to not go to work now, because when Trump's economy started taking off and it hit the 3% GDP that they said he couldn't hit, and when The jobs came back. They said wouldn't come back. When he's done all the things that he's done, they don't like it. They don't want to see success because it's all about power and it's about left versus right. It's not about success. Donald Trump's done more policies that the left agreed with just 5-10 years ago, but now they're in a tailspin because they realize that he's not a politician and they hate him because they want the left to win. Thanks everybody for visiting tonight. I know it was a long show. I appreciate it. I appreciate Kassan coming on, and that's it for me.
All right, Glenn, you're 1 minute. Go for it, brother.
Yeah, guys, thanks everybody for tuning in with us tonight. I didn't say too much tonight. You know, we had a little bit of a heated debate between my colleague Kenny and our guest co-host Kassan. Make sure you guys check him out, by the way, over at Political Soul Food. He's also one of the contributors over at The Ventilators. So make sure you check out The Ventilators. We just had King Brad on as well. But again, we didn't really get a chance to talk too much about what Biden is going to bring to the table come November. He did 6 days ago talk about his economic policies and as it pertains to social justice and civil rights and small businesses and things like that, and in particular minority small businesses. But there's so much to just get into, and I'm sure we're going to bite into it in our next episode. But you know, I am kind of in the dark. I really don't know exactly what Biden specifically plans on doing about some of these issues. He's been MIA for over 120 days now. So actually going on 150 days now. So quite some time, 5-6 months. But definitely looking forward to talking about it. Again, I think foreign policy is the one area where he can hold his own in terms of like debating Trump. But thank you guys for being with us tonight. Looking forward to another phenomenal show on Wednesday. And with that, I'm signing off.
Hey, Kassan, you got it, brother. You got your 1 minute. Go for it.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank all three of you for engaging me. I do a platform called Political Soul Food, which is on Instagram under my name, Kassan Henry, KASAUN HNRY. You type in that name or just type in hashtag Political Soul Food, all one word. I recommend that y'all reach out to The Ventilators. It's a dope group. I just think that today what people saw was a snapshot of the tensions in American society. On the one hand, there are groups of people who see racism at the core of the issues in our society, and then you have people who don't see it in the same way. And so that's what each and every one to decide. If you're really interested in Biden, just look at his platform online. The details are there for you to judge. I would admit that politicians are flawed, but what I want to say is that we want to look at if politicians are honest with themselves, and Trump hasn't really been honest with himself as much as Biden has. Is that enough to say for sure how each person will act? No, but at least someone is giving an effort in some kind of way. Peace and love.
All right. So, like all my colleagues said, hey, we want to appreciate all y'all for tuning in, especially for this long show. Without a doubt, we covered a lot. We might have went off topic, but hey, look, it was good talking points, right? Kassan, thank you for joining the show tonight. We love you, brother. We'll have you back again. You brought some good topics to the table, and this is the whole point of our show, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. We love to debate. It gets heated sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're going to talk to each other and converse and still be friends. That's what it's all about. It's none of this, hey, you don't agree with me. All right, you're canceled. All right, no, no, you can't be my friend no longer. I'm going to defriend you on Facebook. That's not how it works. All right, we got to keep the dialogue open or nothing changes. All right, if you want something to change, get out there and vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. That's your decision. If you want to see real change, you got to vote for your city officials, your state officials. All right. The president can only do so much. All right. So get out there and vote for everybody. Nothing but love and respect. We love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see y'all Wednesday.